So the 2025 NBA draft first round is officially in the books, and my goodness, was there a lot of surprises. But with those surprises comes the second round, where there are still a lot of very, very talented prospects on the board, and a lot of prospects that I still believe can contribute to these NBA teams on day one. So in today's episode, we're going to be doing a full 2025 NBA mock draft of the second round and go in depth into some of the best available prospects that are still going to be available on day two. The NBA draft second round starts at 8 p.m. Eastern time today, so make sure that you tune in. Go ahead and check that out, and be on the lookout for more podcast content coming out about the draft. And if you never want to miss any of that content or future content coming out, make sure to go down below, subscribe, comment, like the video, and be sure to share with your friends. Turn on those post notifications as well so that you can always be notified when a post happens, as well as going ahead and following us on all social medias, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those ads are going to be down below. We're on all of those. You will also be notified for whenever the podcast uploads an episode, but you as well will get to see my reactions to breaking news within the NBA and the NFL. Like I mentioned, the second round is tonight. We have NBA offseason coming up in just a week's time. NFL training camps kicking up on. There's going to be so much content rolling through, and I'm really excited to get it out for you guys. So go ahead, follow all those social medias so that you can always be up to date. Without further ado, let's not waste any more time. Let's just hop right into it. So here we are at the top of the order of round two with the 31st pick of the Minnesota Timberwolves. You can see below we have the first round all right here, all the way filled out. Cooper Flag all the way at number one. Then we went all the way through at Yannick Conan Niederhauser all the way at 30th going to the Clippers. A couple of surprises, like we mentioned last night in round one, Hanson Young and Joan Behringer, definitely two big-time surprises, both at 16 and 17. Both guys who were potentially second-round picks. Yannick Conan's also a potential second-rounder in there, Ben Suraf and whatnot. So a couple of big-time surprises, and what that does is that leaves some first round potential talent still left to go here in the second round. I mean, I'm just looking at these top guys here, and we'll obviously go much more in depth. But Cam Jones, Rasheer Fleming, Ryan Kalkbrenner, Jameer Watkins, Chaz Lanier, Adu Thiero, Janai Broom, Javon Small, Mark Sears. I mean, a lot of really, really high level talent here at the top of the draft and some opportunity for some NBA teams to cash in later on. So let's start with the Minnesota Timberwolves at number 31. They did have one draft pick last night. They went ahead and they got Joan Behringer, the Frenchman power forward. I have consistently said that I do believe that Minnesota needs to continue to improve their offense. They need to improve their shooting. They need to find ways to get pressure off of Anthony Edwards' shoulders and have him not be just the overall dependent offensive guy. And so at the top of the order, I'm going to have them taking Chaz Lanier out of Tennessee. He was the guy who was rated as my number 30th pick going to the LA Clippers. And in this one, he moved just one pick back. Just a lights out sharpshooter, 3-point specialist. You can see here, 6'5", 6'9" wingspan. His shooting is his best skill. A little bit undersized, you would like to think, at that two guard role, but can still defend very, very well on the perimeter. Is still really, really physical despite his lack of size right there. Just needs to become more consistent in not turning over the ball as much and being able to create a lot more for himself and his teammates. But I think that this will be a solid pick to play next to Ant and be able to just have another shooter out there coming off the bench with guys like Dante DiVincenzo and whatnot, like guys like Naz Reid who are coming off the bench. Lanier will be some nice depth. Then you go to the Boston Celtics at number 32. They picked Hugo Gonzalez at 28, and I believe that was the only other pick that they had. Yes, it was. So they ended up going with Hugo Gonzalez, who was a backcourt player. Again, was the complete opposite of where I felt that they should go. Definitely felt that they should target the front court a lot more, especially now with them trading away Kristaps Porzingis. And in trading away Kristaps Porzingis, they still end up with another guy who I felt was a really solid first-round talent. That's Rasheer Fleming out of St. Joseph's, a very basic stretch four out of St. Joe's. Does a really great job at shooting the three, but also can play defense really well as a box power forward on the block. He could plug in right away and fill into that Porzingis role. He gives you more offense, which I think is the road that Boston is potentially looking for with trading for guys like Anthony Simons, and then obviously trying to get the injury-riddled players out of there. Obviously, there are questions as to can he perform at the highest level when going to a college like St. Joe's, but from what all I've seen, The dude is an absolute monster. He stands, I believe, 6'9", yes, and he has an incredibly long wingspan up at 7'5". So he could potentially evolve into an elite shot blocker as well. And this just gives you depth there, gets you your plug-in power forward, and now they can potentially work towards maybe getting a center within free agency, or do they have another pick within this second round? They do not. So within free agency, potentially going out and getting a shoe-in center for them. Then the Charlotte Hornets come in back-to-back with 33 and 34 respectively. They had a little bit of a busy night as well. Of course, they had the number 4 overall pick with Knoepel, but then I believe they also got Liam McNeely at number 29. So 2 forwards, 2 big-time shot makers, but they did trade away Mark Williams in yesterday's draft to the Phoenix Suns. So it's obvious here that we're looking towards a center. My highest ranked center has always been Ryan Kalkbrenner on my board. I've really liked him coming out of Creighton. I think that he's a formidable just defensive anchor as he was for the Blue Jays, and I think that he showcases a high basketball IQ. But there seems to be a lot more eyes towards Maxim Reynov here at 33. And honestly, I can see why. The dude he averaged 20 and 10 for the Stanford Cardinals last year before, I believe, going down with injury, if I'm not correct. Oh, no, it just said ACC. But the dude averaged 20 and 10. He had 1.4 blocks per game, so he's a really solid rim protector. I think where people kind of go wrong with him is that there could potentially be a lack of, athleticism there, explosion, being able to, rim run from one end to the other. But the dude can plug in, he can shot block, he can score the basketball, he can rebound. What else more do you really need out of a center? It might be a little bit of a slow plotter, but you can get him there. And especially with, NBA athletic training that we have nowadays, some of these, little athleticism holes can just be filled up so easily. Definitely think that this is an impact pick. And then number 34, going to go with Cam Jones to the Charlotte Hornets. That might be a little bit of a surprise to some people, but I think that this would be the perfect backup point guard for LaMelo Ball, an experienced point guard coming out of Marquette. I believe he's a 4-year guy. Again, one of my top guys still available within this draft. Sits at 6'5", 6'6" wingspan. As you can see, he's just so polished as a player, and he might not, excel at anything exceptionally. Like, he's not like an advanced shooter where he's going to be shooting 40+% from 3, but he's crafty. He shows a high basketball IQ. Because of his size, he is a he's very hungry on the defensive end on the perimeter, is able to really force the ball out of his defender's hands, grab some skills. I just think that, if you can surround him with enough talent, he can elevate those guys using his craftiness of getting to the rim and being able to distribute to his shooters. And hey, you just got Liam McNeely, you just got Knoepel, you have Brandon Miller, you're going to have Maxime Reynaud to work within the pick and roll, you have LaMelo Ball. So you have shooters and you have guys that you can put in the right situation with him to be able to execute. And this could be a guy that 100% could lead that second group when LaMelo Ball is off. And even when LaMelo Ball is injured, Cam Jones could plug in and potentially start. And that's really what you're looking here with Charlotte as well. Just trying to get insurance for that point guard position. Jones is experienced enough, he has the size, and he has the skill when put around the right talent to be able to go ahead and execute and create shots right there. Number 35 for the Philadelphia 76ers. They, of course, got BJ Edgecombe all the way back at number 3 overall. We come back to them 32 picks later at 35. Pro Football and Sports Network team needs have center upside, wing scoring, shooting, forward, guard, defense. Definitely would potentially like for them to look at a forward here. Unfortunately for them, there's not really many talented power forwards at this point in the draft. A lot of them are more 3 type guys. So I think that they need to just look towards potentially some depth and some upside. So Deuce Thiero would be really intriguing with his 7-foot wingspan. He definitely has, an NBA type frame, but unfortunately he's not going to be shooting very well. As you can see, 28.4% from deep, and definitely does struggle from the 3-point line, but has a high motor and can play defense really well. You also have Noah Penda, who's a little bit more polished when it comes around. Again, 6'8", 7-foot wingspan, 20-year-old from France. These French guys have definitely been getting highlighted more and more as we go through the years of the draft. does really, really well within passing lanes, 3-and-D forward. Offensive game is obviously still developing, but he has good strength. And I think that's going to be the spot for him right there with Philadelphia. You could put him in at the power forward spot. You could also have him learning behind Paul George at the small forward, which is going to take time for his offensive game. So I like that right there. Having Noah Penda in there, giving you some depth, giving you somebody that could play next to Embiid and Paul George. And at this point, right, you have VJ, you have Jared McCain, you have Tyrese Maxey, you have Embiid, you have PG. You don't need a ton of scoring, but you do need those depth guys, those hustlers, those guys that are going to be able to get into passing lanes and make championship type plays. Penda can definitely do that. He's a dog, gets into lanes, creates turnovers, and creates opportunities on the fast break. That is his game. Then you move back to the Brooklyn Nets at 36. They obviously had a very, very busy night. Danny Wolf and Ben Surratt at 26 and 27, Drake Powell at 22, Nolan Traore at 19, and then the surprise pick, Igor Demon at 8th overall inside the lottery. And now we spin all the way back to their 6th pick of the draft. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't know where to go with this pick simply because it is clear that I did not know what Brooklyn was really thinking. I mean, picking 3 European point guards, going out, Danny Wolf was obviously a steal, and then Drake Powell, I really like the Drake Powell pick, a 3-and-D wing. It's obvious that they're really trying to go in a different direction here and just try to find, from me, what I saw is that they wanted to try and find offensive playmakers, right? Those guys that can go out and just make the right plays, that can handle the ball, that turn over the ball the least. You do have maybe somebody like Jameer Watkins, but again, there's just not a lot from him from the offensive end. Him, Penda, and Thierry are all three very, very similar. Could you go maybe with like a point guard route of like a Mark Sears, but he is super duper undersized, so where would that go? R.J. Lewis out of St. John, 6'7", solid defense, is an aggressive downhill attacker. They haven't added a lot of shooting to their team at this point, so Lewis with his little bit of struggles from deep, maybe that could be. You also have Tyrese Proctor, right? 40% from his junior season. He would give you the best at just a standalone shoe-in 3-and-D type guy to go ahead and plug in. He's definitely one of the better available. Grant Nelson out of Alabama really intrigues me. Let's go ahead and take a look at Tankathon and what they really had for these picks. Because second round, there's just so many directions that you could go. They have Janai Broom going here. I could see that because the power forward position does need to be filled. I mean, they haven't prioritized shooting. You know what? Let's do it. Let's go Janai Broom there. I like that pick. I like that pick because you have your offensive playmakers now. Now you need to get guys that can score around the rim, that can work in with those guys and play within the pick and roll. You can go out and play him defensively. He has some versatility to be able to play at that power forward position, so playing him next to Nick Claxton. Of course, once again, there's challenges with him that comes offensively, him not being able to shoot outside the deep line. But as a low post scorer, he's really creative, and he seems to dominate well on both sides. And again, another guy that is older, that is a veteran type of college type guy, and is going to be able to start for you day one, but still, could work as a little bit of a developmental prospect there. Then you have the Detroit Pistons at 37. Football and Sports Network has scoring, guard playmaking, big shooting, point, and shooting as well. So it's very clear that they need offense, especially with, obviously, Jaden Ivey getting hurt last year. Hunter Salas, potentially. Three-point shooting hover around 33%. Definitely is better as a slasher, though, so wouldn't be solid shooting. RJ could be potential, but again, the efficiency is just not there. So I'm actually going to go all the way down. I'm going to pick Tyrese Proctor here at 37 for the Detroit Pistons. Again, still one of my favorite players that's still available right now. Probably one of the most known coming out of Duke. 40% from three in his previous season. And once again, offense is definitely big. You saw how big of a need offense really is. Excuse me, I'm mixing my words around. So it's clear as of right now that you don't need him to really play in a defensive role, which he's not going to be able to immediately. Maybe getting into a Detroit-type culture with J.B. Biggerstaff that could work in. But, I mean, you have Jalen Duren, you have Jaden Ivey, you have Cade Cunningham, you have Asar Thompson, you have guys that are going to be willing to play defense right away. I mean, that's a guy that could plug in and just play his role from an offensive standpoint. Pacers at 38. This is a no-brainer. Ryan Kalkbrenner going to them. They need a backup center for Miles Turner. It's probably the spot that they were lacking the most depth, especially throughout these finals. Is just getting another rim protector behind when Miles Turner comes off. Kalkbrenner can definitely play that role again at 7 feet tall, defensive anchor, shot blocker, does really well, can move his feet very well laterally, and can work around the rim. Is he going to be able to adjust well to potentially the Pacers' fast-paced motion? That is what we're seeing, but because Miles Turner is definitely more of an athletic center, right? But maybe this could also be a good slow down of pace for them and also be able to allow them to work in some half-court offense and improve in that spot where they were a little bit weak this past season. Toronto Raptors in at 39. Again, I think that they need a center. They didn't take a center. They got Colin Murray-Boyles in the first round, which I still don't know how that is going to potentially work out because they're so undersized. So I'm going to give him Rocco Zikarsky from Australia. He is also a little bit of a project just because he's so unnaturally tall, right? 7'3", 7'5" wingspan. You're really wondering how well he's really going to be able to move at the next level because his physical tools are obviously great. He has some really good presence as both the shot blocker and within the pick and roll. But again, is he going to be able to run up and down in the modern offensive game? That is going to be the question. Of course, there's stuff with him like shooting inconsistencies, right, and his ability to guard smaller guards within the perimeter. But is that the role that you're really going to want him to play? Probably not. And also had a little bit of a knee injury that he's coming back from that cut his season short in the previous season in the NBL. But the dude has just shown solid touch all around as a big man. Again, his physicality alone is incredible with that 7'3", and having him next to Scotty Barnes again is just a natural shot blocker. He does run well within the pick and roll and has good upside there. So we mentioned it before, but guys like Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett going downhill in the pick and roll, that's going to be beneficial for him catching lobs down there and whatnot, which is kind of his game, which I really, really like right there. New Orleans Pelicans come onto the clock at number 40. Playmaking, guard scoring, center shooting, point defense. They had Derek Queen, but they also got Jeremiah Fears. And the big thing for them is that they can kind of go anywhere because at this point, they're just drafting for depth. Alex Tuhey out of, potentially out of Sydney, 6'8", 6'11", heading the ball on the floor. Seems like a playmaking power forward. Again, I don't know a ton still right now about these second rounders. So some of these guys, I'm going to have to refresh my mind. Obviously, Kobe Bria is one of the top better ones as just a really great sharpshooter. They do have a multitude of guards, but Herb Jones could be traded. And DeJounte Murray coming off of injury. Let's go with Kobe Bria. Bona fide, just sharpshooter, man. 3-point shooter, really, really nice coming out of Kentucky. As you can see, 43.5% from the three-point range, 11.6 points per game for the Wildcats. They definitely been missing some scoring, especially with Herb Jones, Trey Murphy starting, Zion Williamson still having some shooting deficiencies this late in his career. DeJounte Murray coming off of injury. They got Jeremiah Fears, who doesn't have a consistent three-point shot. Derek Queen doesn't have a consistent three-point shot. So get yourself some scoring, get yourself some three-point shooting with Kobe Bria out there. 41 for the Warriors. Centers definitely here. Potential guard creation, but also just, once again, just scoring. And this is why, guys like Jameer Watkins and Adu Thiero are just going to fall because they're just not that natural of a scorer. You do have Kobe Johnson out of UCLA, 6'6", 3-year starter, 36.2. He does have some decent efficiency right there. What do we got here? Do they have Grant Nelson being drafted? They don't. It's such a shame. I really do like Grant Nelson. Talked about Sion James coming out of Duke, 6'5". But again, just not great shooting for them right there. So I'm going to give them Kobe Johnson. I know that the three-point shot he wasn't confident in a lot, but when you're going to a team that has developed the shooters the way that Golden State has, confidence is definitely going to grow from there. When you're playing with guys like Steph Curry, the confidence shooting-wise is definitely going to grow, and he's going to need to be put in those situations to hit, those big-time shots. And so plug him in a way, get yourself some more scoring. It's definitely where Golden State lacked a little bit this year. They're probably actually better in some aspects defensively than they were offensively. So Kobe Johnson there could help the shooting. 42 with the Kings. They got Nick Clifford in this, but they could definitely use another forward. They could also use a potential another center to just get rebounds. So I'm looking at like Markovic from Mega Basket, but he's much more of like a 3-and-D type center. And all these guys underneath there, I don't know a ton about. 2 6 for 6, but they already have enough creation on it. They really just do need defense. I do feel like Watkins was more of the consistent shooter, and that's what could potentially separate him. So we're going to go Jameer Watkins here at number 42 at Florida State. As you can see, long, lengthy, 6'7", 6'11". Dude does another really great job just consistently putting in work on the defensive end, disrupting passing lanes, tipping the ball out of defenders' hands and getting it on the brick. And especially, Zach LaVine aging, you have DeMar DeRozan there to act as a veteran presence. He could come in behind Keegan Murray and whatnot, the power forward position. He has that type. Solid pick right there for the Kings. 43 with the Utah Jazz. This is interesting because they got Walter Clayton Jr. and they have Ace Bailey. So they have two-time big-time shot makers. Again, I think that wing defense or forward defense could definitely be there. So I think that Thiero actually ends up not going too far behind. Another guy that, again, just needs to improve his shooting. That's the biggest thing for him, but shows up well on the defensive end. Is also really, really good on the boards, being able to offensive rebound and can also slash right there. So just giving you another big-time playmaker. And, the Jazz, they're going in so many different directions that they really do need to find a focal point. And when you have, foundational players like Thiero in there to just play defense, that could always make things a little bit easier. The Thunder are now back on the clock with 44. I don't even know what to do with the Thunder anymore, man. They just have so much talent. They have a second round pick here too. But I definitely think that this could be a good spot for like a RJ Lewis, somebody who needs time to be able to develop that 3-point shot, and so you can play him behind Wiggins, Cason Wallace, and even there's been talks about them trading away Aaron Wiggins, trading away Jalen Williams. Right, they got Thomas Schwarber last night to potentially fold in as that third center behind Hartenstein and Holmgren. There's been talk about them potentially maybe trading Cason Wallace if they want a big time superstar. Obviously, with them winning a championship, that is a less likely. Aaron Wiggins potentially letting one of these, better shooting guards go, Lou Dort or Isaiah Joe. And Lewis, with his slashing abilities, definitely could play in there. And he did, at times for that St. John's team, was able to knock down big-time shots. It just wasn't consistent enough. But in the big time, in the clutch time, he was able to hit at times, just not in that final game that they had against Arkansas, which definitely, put him down a little bit. But, again, another just developmental guy that you can kind of, work around. RJ Lewis here at 44. 45 for the Bulls. I actually think that Markovic would be perfect here for them. And this would be kind of a consolation prize for them not picking Derek Queen, right? We felt that Queen would be potentially good in that offense, being able to create. But you now get a guy that can shoot. They now have shooting with Markovic at their center position, which they're lacking with drafting Sengun. They have Patrick Williams. Josh Giddey has never been really the most efficient. So you get a guy in Bogolu Markovic, sits at 6'11", 39.4% of his catch and shoot threes this past year. He knocked down high release, so it's not really going to be a shot that you're really going to be able to block. Crafty post type scorer on the block. Of course, decision making needs to be improved, and on the defensive end, he's not really great. But I don't think that the Bulls have ever really been a big time impactful defensive team. And now you do have length with the guys like Asende and Patrick Williams with their wingspans to be able to go in and make some shot blocks. So that's a perfect guy, either to start or potentially come in behind Nikola Vucevic and just get some 3-point shooting within that lineup because they desperately need it. Magic at 46. How are we doing on time here? 24 minutes in. I like it. And we have 13 picks to go, I believe. But Orlando Magic at 46, again, they need a true point guard. And unfortunately, they waited way too long to really get one because Cam Jones is off the board. Ben Saraf is off the board. They decided to go Jace Richardson, which I didn't feel like was the best just because he's much more of a 2 guard, but they need a point guard. And you look at the guys here. I mean, there is some solid talent like Javon Small, Mark Sears. But the thing about both of these guys is they are tremendously undersized. Small sits at 6'2", Sears is at 6 feet tall. There is, oh my goodness, what just happened? Okay, so what I just learned from this is do not click on Ryan Nembhard because he can absolutely end this entire thing. But looking up Ryan Nembhard, we're looking at these point guards. You can just look up his draft profile. Again, he's also very undersized at 6 feet tall. Was a solid scorer for where did he go? Gonzaga, I believe. And high time creator. So he is a floor general for them. So you have point guard creation here, but there's just not a lot of size, which really, really scares me. But if you were going to go for a natural point guard, which I do still think that they need to, I think that Javon Small is the right one. He has craftiness. He has a high feel, and for the game, he's very competitive. 42.5% on the catch and shoot. Downhill game is very strong, so he's very, very similar to Jeremiah Fears, in my opinion. He has good energy, physical, plays with discipline. Ultimately, it's just his size, right? He overall is a really, really good point guard. He's going to be able to distribute, but at 6'2", how effective is he really going to be? That's really the question here. But they need a point guard, so go out and get yourself Javon Small, please. Please go get a point guard, Orlando. 47 with the Milwaukee Bucks. Team needs include guard, wing, shooting, playmaking, big. I mean, they could go anywhere with this pick, really. They're also very versatile. Mark Sears is a question. Cameron Matthews out of Mississippi State could be an option. They have Amari Williams here at 47, so they have center, actually. Is Amari Williams even here? I don't think he is. He's not. And do we have enough prospects to get through this whole thing? So there might be some prospects that are not even in here that we're going to have to pick from. Hold up. How many picks? We have 12 picks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. So we do have a little bit more, but there are some prospects that are definitely on here. Caleb Love is here. Ooh, that would have been interesting for... I mean, there's inefficiencies there. Wow, I forgot that Love was still available. He could be picked in the first round. That would be sick. But sorry, we're wasting time. Back to the draft. There are forwards here like a Jalon Moore out of Oklahoma, 6'7". He has a slasher, major stride from 3-point line at 38%. That'll be something I have to continue honing in, as he won't have the ball in his hands much as nearly if he gets a chance in the league. Not a great defender often, but defending on Milwaukee's not big time. And defenders aren't as valuable now just because obviously it's more of an offensive game. Smooth 3-level scoring, one of the most polished upperclassmen, going to a crafty shot creator. The only thing is I don't like taking an upperclassman here because I do think that Milwaukee definitely needs more of a developmental type guy. For more than a long-term roster, I have to fully commit on that end of the floor. So the defense is the thing for him. But you're learning alongside Giannis. So I think that actually should be good there. Jalon Moore out of Oklahoma. 48 with the Memphis Grizzlies, scoring, playmaking. They obviously got... Where are we at there? They got Cedric Howard. So they did get the shooting part and the plug-in at guard. They could also use a wing. So again, they're more of a contender team. So I actually do like Hunter Sallis better here. 3-level scorer, defensive, a lot more polished. 33% around that 3-point line that he's hovered. Does need to take a step forward, but over the 4 seasons, and if secondary scores not, reminds me a little bit of a Luke Kennard almost. That that 3-level scorer, could have some defensive capabilities there. Just needs to become a little bit more consistent. So I like that there for Memphis at 48, 49 with the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is the first time that they've been on the clock, and I actually don't know a lot about big wing guard defense, big shooting defense as well. So defense, but also some shooting. Sion James out of Duke was key. He was a high-level defender, so he could work. Dink Pate, point guard from the Capitans, most polarizing prospects in this year's draft. 6'8" wing with impressive fluidity. So he was an Ignite player. Seems to have good feel, but I don't think that Cleveland will really go with a developmental type European guy like that. You have Cam Matthews. He's more defense. They have, where are we at? They have Jameer Watkins going here. So I'm gonna go with Cam Matthews, 6'7", solid length, just a defender. New York at 50. Again, more defense, wing upside. They could also use some potential scoring here. Jackson Robinson at the shooting guard position could be good. He's more of a 3-point shooter. Definitely think that's scoring. They have so much defense already, but they do have maybe potentially a hole. What does Tankathon have? They have Eric Dixon, power forward out of Villanova, knocking down 40% of his 3-point percent. I like that. Just a stretch four that could definitely plug in, play next to Karl-Anthony Towns. That power forward position was a little bit of a need for them when they didn't have one of their insightful, potentially defensive wings on, like Anunoby or Mikal Bridges. So 50 with Eric Dixon with that stretch four to come in off the bench could be definitely solid instead of like a Precious Achiuwa who's just, defense. 51 for the Clippers. They went big. I was not expecting that. They need some shooting as well. So Sion Jones wouldn't be great, but I do think that Jackson Robinson out of Kentucky could be. He nailed 38% of his threes in 24-25, 6'6", so he has really good positional size for his ability there. Obviously more of a 3-and-D, but when you have Harden, when you have Kawhi to make those plays, you just need that 3-and-D guy. Also, I believe they traded away Terrence Mann in a deal recently, so get yourself a knockdown shooter right there. Just needs to improve his defense a little bit more out of Kentucky. Phoenix Suns out of 52. I felt that they were going to improve point guard, but they ended up trading their 29th pick for Mark Williams. So the center position is locked up. They need a point guard. So I'm actually going to give them Dink Pate for the Capitans because it sounds like this guy moves really well. It sounds like he moves really well at 6'8". It sounds like he's much more of like a Igor Demon. He's just not as consistent. And so have this guy come off the bench for you, maybe playing a little bit with Jalen Green and whatnot and get his fluidity up and feel for the game. Could be interesting. And who knows, could be a potential starting point guard. And Phoenix has experimented here and there with some European players like Dragon Bender. Have they had the most success? No, but potentially a guard here. At this point, we're at the end of the second round, so you can kind of go in any position. So we might, fly through these a little bit. 53 with the Utah Jazz. Again, could be potentially scoring. Tankathon has them going Micah Peavy out of Georgetown. Don't even think that we have Peavy here. But maybe like an Elijah Martin, but he's undersized. Definitely think that Ryan Nembhard is going to be picked here. It's just when. They just have so much wing. They have so much wings. They have so much everything. You know what? I'm going to give them Grant Nelson. I really like Grant Nelson out of Alabama, 6'11" with 7-foot wingspan. The dude is a two-way type guy. I don't think that he has, stereotypical athleticism, maybe for the NBA. There obviously are some consistency issues, but if you want to run a small ball lineup, which they definitely could with the amount of wings that they have, play him potentially at the center position. He was a monster for Alabama on the boards, and that was part of the reason why they were able to play really well fast in that position. 54 with the Indiana Pacers. We already got them a center. Wing could be a big help for them. It says guard, but I don't think that guard would really be. We do have Micah Peavy. I'm going to give them Micah Peavy at 54. Again, just more shooting for them. So they get a backup center, and they also get a really good score on the shooting guard position. Lakers, this is the first time they're on the clock here at 55, and this was the same pick I believe they picked Bronny at last year, right? It was either this or 56, one or the other. So Bronny here, or Lakers here at 55. They do need a center, and there is the other guy from Michigan, the other 7-footer, Vladislav Golden. Prototypical big man, 7'1", 250 pounds. He won't be the biggest guy, and even if he won't be the strongest. He's always been to have a tough time guarding the pick and roll. It seems like defense is really a big thing for him and lack of athleticism. But if he could just stand alone there and be a shot blocker and then run in the pick and roll with the guards, he's has problem guarding pick and roll. But as we saw at Michigan, he did really great well in the pick and roll on the offensive side. playing through there. So get a developmental center for Los Angeles. Memphis is back on the clock. We got them a forward in Hunter Salas. We got them they have Cedric Coward, so they have a shooting guard and a forward. They could need playmaking, maybe off the bench. So RJ Lewis potentially here. So I think that this is a spot that Ryan Nembhard could realistically go. This is a backup point guard, a floor general to be able to distribute. I like that there. 57, 58, and 59. 57 is up next for the Magic. We just recently picked for them. We gave them a point guard, Javon Small. So they have a point guard. They got Desmond Bane. And then they were also able to get Chase Richardson. So I definitely think that we need to go with the front court spot here. Tankathon has Hunter Salas, but we already picked. I mean, you could go guard again for them, but could like a Kobe Saunders out of like Nevada be possible at 6'9", unorthodox, primary creator, pull up mid range, versatile defender. I mean, you're just looking for that at this point in the draft, like versatility. I'm gonna give it to Kobe Saunders there at 57, 58 for the Cavs. We picked Cameron Matthews, who's just defense. So I definitely think that you need to go with more scoring. Sion James is savvy, but maybe like a Payne Sanford who shot 34%. I like that there at the forward spot. And then finally to end it out, 59 with the Suns. Again, we already gave them a point guard. Didn't they already have a second round? No, they did not. So point guard, they got Mark Williams, and they also got Kaman Maluwak. I mean, I feel so bad leaving all these guys on the board. Mark Sears is not going to get drafted. I'm telling you, he's too small. Zeke Mayo from Kansas, no. At 6'4". Scoring is the problem with the game. However, he doesn't do much else besides shoot the ball. See, they need like a real playmaking point guard. Jaden Atkins, I don't think does that really well either. Just like a solid defender from Michigan State. And Caleb Love is too inconsistent. I would love for selfish reasons to pick Caleb Love, but I don't think that that's going to be the case. I mean, just go front court. Maybe get like a savvy guy like a Sion Jones to go ahead and top it off, because he can go ahead and he scores here. High-level defender, has a good frame. Just needs to improve that shooting, but very, very unselfish and whatnot. So there it is. That is the full second round here for the NBA draft. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you think is the best available players? If I had to name a few, Chaz Lanier, Rasheer Fleming, Maxime Raynov, Cam Jones, Noah Penda, Tyrese Proctor, Cal Brenner, Kobe Brea, Markovich at 45 is really, really talented still. Look for maybe like a Hunter Salas at 48. Ryan Nembhard is obviously very talented. So a lot of really talented impact players that could still go within the second round. Let me know what your guys' predictions are for this, what I got right, what I got wrong, who you are hoping your team to go ahead and pick, or if your team doesn't have a draft pick, are you hoping that they could trade in and maybe get one of these guys? Let me know all of that down below, as well as subscribe, leave a like, and share with your friends. And of course, like always, guys, go ahead and follow all those social medias. All of the ads are down below in that description. And without further ado, I'm not going to waste any more of your guys' time. I'm going to go off, produce some more content. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take it easy. Have a good one. Peace.